My name's Rob Mansfield, as it is introduced. My story pretty much started when I was 18. I had kind of a okay childhood, wasn't the greatest. My family didn't know who God was. We didn't practice any type of religion in our house. When I left home at 18, I joined the military. When I joined the military, I enjoyed 100-mile backpacking trips, enjoyed playing football, enjoyed being very, very physical. As a matter of fact, that led me to the job that I did in the Navy, which was I worked on the flight deck of an aircraft carrier, and I launched and recovered airplanes. It is the most dangerous job in the world. And just to kind of put an example on this, the military allows 6 deaths a year on the flight deck of an aircraft carrier just because they know how dangerous it is. And it's just a normal operating number. Unfortunately, we were in the North Bering Sea in January, and flight deck was completely frozen. And we were flying aircraft and launching aircraft off the flight deck. And the aircraft carrier caught a 100-foot wave. And it just, my total horizon went straight up in the air. And this F-14 that was 20 feet in front of me started sliding right back towards me on the ice. And the last thing I saw was the exhaust, that flame shoot out of the aircraft, out of the aircraft. And I was about 15 feet behind it when it happened. It threw me about 20 feet in the air and tossed me back about 30, 40 feet. Almost went over the side of the edge. As a result of this accident, my life was completely changed. I had severely wounded my leg, developed bone cancer because of this. I was in a hospital for 1.5 years, completely isolated. And when I got out of the hospital, I had a leg brace on that I wore for 25 years. The anger that I felt after this was absolutely consuming. And the only way that I can explain it to people is that I was angry at the birds for flying across my view of the sky. Didn't matter who you were, it didn't matter where I was. I'll chase you down on the freeway, I'll get out of my car at a traffic light. I was the most angriest person in the world because what I had considered my life was absolutely destroyed. About 10 years into this, I met my wife and we got married and was living in Mexico. And things were okay for about 8 months, new love and new emotions. But as always, the anger slowly crept back. I had a few suicide attempts just because of the depression. I had lost faith, I had lost hope, and I had lost faith, hope, and love. And those were just all replaced by completely negative emotions. And in November of 2016, my mother-in-law of 16 years, who was the equivalent of my mom at this point in time, she passed away of cancer. And the anger inside of me and the hatred, it just welled up so much, I started body slamming my dressers, started destroying my house. And that went on for a month until December of 2016. And in December of 2016, I looked at my wife of 14 years at that point, and I told her, I'm done, and I can't do this anymore. And I'm burning this house down with me and you in it. And the only reason why I didn't do it is I only have electrical tools. I don't own a gas can. After those words left my mouth, the next thing that I did was I asked God. And I said, God, I don't know if you exist or not. But if you do, if you're real, show me how to find you. The anger started to stop. In January of 2017, I went to my first church service. And at that church service, I accepted Jesus on the floor crying. Jesus was able to remove my PTSD that I had suffered with for 25 years. He removed it so cleanly and so perfectly that it took me 6 days to realize before that I wasn't angry anymore. And I started serving Jesus from that moment forward. That the PTSD, the anger, my marriage is being restored, my life is being restored. After 30 years of basically bedridden and laying in bed, I only started walking straight my last surgery was about 4 years ago. And I finally started walking straight after that last surgery. Recently, I was doing some writing, and the Holy Spirit helped me explain this in a better way than I can. And that is, part of my anger was to place blames on others. With PTSD, you live in a monochromatic world. Red for anger, blue for sadness, and yellow for fear. These three emotions tried to defeat faith, hope, and love. Anger defeated my love. Sadness defeated my hope. Fear defeated my faith. I had no way out, nothing to turn to, until beaten down and brokenhearted, I threatened to kill my family and myself. It wasn't until I asked God to tell me he was real and show me how to find him. A month later, I found Jesus. He changed everything. He removed my scales, known as PTSD. Hope, faith, and love was restored. They have no color. They have no color of their own, but shine bright to give you God's true sight. With this change, I haven't even been a Christian 2 years. This lifestyle, this peace that I have because of Jesus being in my heart is so completely new that my entire family sees it. I was actually shunned from my family because of my anger for a long time. Wasn't invited to reunions or anything because they knew that something was going to be said and I was going to get involved and I was just going to start screaming and finger pointing and judging people and condemning people. But once Jesus came into my heart, and it literally gave me a heart transplant, one that was completely stony and rocked, was changed out for something that just has an enormous amount of love and an enormous amount of faith and hope. And today I truly enjoy going out in the streets and telling people how I got found and telling people that it's available for them. No matter how they're walking or how they're leading their lives, I always find something in everybody that I can find that's lovable. And that's my Jesus story.
How about a hand for Rob?